Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Soul Goals. My name is Dawn, and I'm so glad you're joining us. This is week number 40 of 52 wonderful opportunities for personal self growth for year number 2 of the podcast. If you'll recall, my good friend Dixie and I have been undertaking these wonderful exercises each week in an effort for our audience to see what they do, what our takes are on them, basically, how we feel about them. And that way you can have a takeaway of your own and say, that would work for me. That definitely won't work for me. That resonates with me. I feel like I probably need to do something of that nature to help me be the better version of myself on every level for myself, for my family, for my coworkers, for anybody surrounding me. Ideally, that's what we're doing here in the Soul Goals podcast is trying to figure out how to exercise those pieces of our soul that we bring into this life that really are meaningful and that are meant to show us what our gifts are so that we can then bring them out and explore them and give to other people in a really meaningful way. But to do that, well, a lot of times we got to process our stuff. So some of these personal growth exercises are they can be pretty deep. I know they have been for me along the course. Some of them have been amazingly easy, and then some of them have been extremely challenging. But I will tell you, even in the ups and the downs, there's benefit all the way through it. No matter if you pull a little piece of benefit from it, no matter if you pull an amazing amount of benefit from it, there's always benefit in working on yourself. So this week, without further ado, is called Say Cheese. This is a pretty easy week because I think it's a little bit more of an introspective kind of week. When I say cheese, basically that means let's look at the pictures that you are surrounding yourself with, the physical pictures in your living space or in your workspace. I know I was just in an insurance company's office earlier today, and the lady had a wonderful bookshelf. And she's an older lady. She had grandchildren and her children from graduation and so many different beautiful memories, a trip with her whole family. And as she was typing, I just looked at those and I thought, wow, what an interesting life she's led. What a full life she's led. Maybe she would have said the same thing if I would have asked her more about it. Or maybe she would have said, oh, let me tell you about that time. Let me tell you about that time. But the idea of us, quote, saying cheese this week is to take time to maybe dig some old photos out that we haven't looked at in a while, to elicit some memories from the memory bank that we may not be accessing, some things that maybe we need to process through. Also, really some things that we need to go, oh, I need to remember that because it was such a beautiful time in my life. And it was such a meaningful experience for me to have. And seeing those things on a daily basis really helps us to put things in perspective. Again, another thing about all of these challenges each week is to be able to find a different perspective. It's about shifting our mindset so that we can be so full, so that we can be so much what we were here to be, what we are made to be, which is wonderful gifts that we are all made up of. All right. Here we go back. I digress. Say cheese. What does this mean? It means adding photos to your living or workspace or rearranging photos that you currently have in your house. Again, it's changing the focus. It's opening up new perspectives. It's looking back and remembering wonderful times. It could also be eliciting responses that might provoke something a little bit deeper within inside of us that we need to process. And if that does that for you, I do encourage and invite you to consider doing this with a therapist, within a group setting, in some capacity with a professional, as you unpack those original pieces of your experience. It's very important to do so if something of that nature elicits for you. And I'm happy to help point you in the right direction. If that is something that you want to know more about, DM me on YouTube or on the podcast. Send me an email as well. I'm happy to help line that up for you. Okay. How hard was this for me to do? Well, it was hard for me in the essence of that I love having pictures around my house. I love so many of them. So for me, it was about changing them up. It was about going into the depths of my attic and opening up these old trunks and looking back through pictures when I was a kid. Some of them were when I wasn't in a great space. And it was important for me to look back and go, wow, That's still a part of my book that I wrote. I call myself the book, right? That's one of my chapters, if you will. And it's important because it helped form who I am. So I'm going to pull that picture out. I'm going to set it over here. But then to help find balance in that position, I'm going to find another picture that elicits a positive response from the same time frame, something that gives me a okay, that's a positive. And for me, it took me moving forward a handful of years into my high school years from that elementary picture that I pulled initially to find something that really resonated with me, that made me feel good. And that was a memory that I went, that's also a part of my experience. That may be chapter 27 instead of chapter 14. But all of the chapters in our book, all of the experiences, all of the photographs and the snapshots that we have are amazingly, amazingly important to our whole, our greater whole, because they make us who we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you know me well enough, I don't necessarily like to say the words good, it was good, or it was bad, because I feel like those are pretty relative terms. Because, like, my husband and I will talk about it. What I think is good, he may think is bad. What I think is bad, he may think is good. So it's relative. It just is. So I'd invite you to maybe change your perspective and reform a thought process around good versus bad and say, it is, or that's really interesting. When we say the word interesting, it takes a little bit of the heat off of it's all good or it's all bad. It makes it a little bit more neutral in our perspective and our brain and in the way we look at it, therefore. So interesting. Those pictures for me were interesting on a really huge dynamic. One was a different experience that I was not happy about. One was a really great memory that was I was happy about. And so finding the two and being able to place them side by side for me was important because it showed me that even in the depths of garbage, there are still moments of peace, of light, of openness, of happiness, of graciousness, of thankfulness, all the things. So it is a nice counterbalance. It was emotional for me. I'm not going to lie. I think sometimes when we look back, we can have those happy tears, we can have those sad tears, but tears nonetheless are a way of our body feeling the expression of an experience. It's they're a part of life. I mean, we were made to have tears, right? We may not like to have them in certain situations or in around certain elements or experiences, but nonetheless, crying is okay. Feeling is definitely okay. We are wired to feel. We are wired to connect. So I guess my biggest takeaway from this was that even in those unfortunate circumstances, my past, I really can't change it, but there's also bright spots. Even a little bit of light can change my perspective on what those unfortunate times may have been for me. And in looking at those photos, like my grandmother, I have it behind me. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a really awesome picture of her that I love, 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 love. And I just move it from place to place. Sometimes it's in my kitchen if I'm spending a lot of time there. Sometimes it's in my home studio where I'm recording. It's a nice reminder that I have that grace and I'm part of that ancestral line, if you will, of strong women, of people that I know cared very deeply for me, even when I was in unfortunate circumstances at different points in my life. My girls, a spontaneous trip that we took as a whole family. Great stuff. Love it. But it also helped me realize that even the little things were big things that deserved the same attention as the gunk that we give attention to. I think a lot of times we place our attention on the bad stuff. Here I go using the good and bad. We place our attention on the things that were hard for us and the times that may have been challenging for us, when the good stuff deserves just as much. The positive things deserve just as much space in our life and in our memory and in our brain and in our mind and in our body as the bad stuff. Doesn't mean that the crud stuff, here I go, saying the good and bad again. See, like I'm catching myself on it. Doesn't mean that the things that were negative in nature that happened for us, to us, around us aren't still a part of our book that we are, but it also just means that there are still some positive tiny lights that we can introduce to help offset that feeling inside of us. One of the big things, I woke up today. I got out of bed today. You woke up today. It's another day. And I think one of my most favorite quotes from all of my years is that you have survived 100% of your days. You, my guys, have survived 100% of your days. That's a pretty great stat if you're asking me. When I read that the first time, I was kind of in a blah kind of place. And it really hit me in a way that went, you know what? That's perspective. So I hope you can hear that today. You have survived 100% of your days, right? Positive, negative. We want to put the spin on it, good, bad, wherever you want to go with it. I think, like I said, our focus tending to be on the bad helps us decrease the ability to see the positives. So this exercise logistically and realistically is about helping find the balance between the two. Cognitive benefits. Let's go through the science behind this and why having pictures around us to elicit those memories is important. Stress relief, especially in our workplace. Like I said, I love having my grandmother's picture with me in my little recording studio where I do my narration for Audible and where I do my voiceover work, because it just shows me, it makes me feel supported. And maybe a little woo woo. I gotta say that word a lot, but it's meaningful for me. And if it's meaningful for you and you have a photo of something, whether it's a furry friend, whether it's an ancestor, whether it's someone that's dear to you in your life right now, that helps you and reminds you when you look at that picture that you got it, you can do it, by all means, place that picture where you need it to be. Mindfulness and reflection as well. Photos often draw us into moments of pause, right? They encourage mindfulness and they encourage gratitude for where we have been and where we are now. It's a perspective builder for us. Psychological and emotional benefits. Let's go through those scientifically. Emotional connection. What do we say? Soul goals, guys. We are wired for human connection. We are all wired to connect with other people. So, emotional connections, personal photos like your family, your friends, your pets. I love my pet photos. Love, love, love them. They're visual anchors, basically, and they serve to help evoke those feelings of support and comfort and belonging to those people and those groups that we are around and those beings that may depend on us, like our furry friends, like our children. Memory and identity. It does help to trigger those memories that help support positive movement just as much as triggering memories that may need to be processed, that we may be holding on to. And a lot of times when we're holding on to something, it's taking up a lot of room. I had this conversation with my younger daughters getting ready to go off to college in another 2 months. And we talked about the metaphor of stuffing our drawers full of clothes. We just go from thing to thing to thing when we are in the busy stages of life. And a lot of times we don't have the time to process different things that are going on with us. So we just take that quote shirt, that quote pair of socks, and we just stuff it in the drawer. And then we push the drawer shut. And then we are busy. We have something else the next day and we accumulate another piece of clothing. We got to put that in the drawer. We're going to open the drawer. We're going to shove that in too. And before we know it, we have this full drawer that we can't close anymore. And things are boisting out the top. And it just makes it really uncomfortably full. So for me, in opening up that trunk upstairs in my attic and finding those pictures from when I was little that elicited a response of, oh my goodness, this happened. This is where I was. It brought about a place for me to be reflective and to journal upon, and then to take to my therapist actually later that week to say, this really affected me. And I want to unpack what that is. I want to open up that drawer of clothes that I keep stuffing things in. And I want to pull out a couple of those garments and I want to look at them a little closer. And I want to see if it's really important for me to keep them. I want to see if they still fit, because as we age, things tend to stop fitting us. Figuratively, but also metaphorically. We grow out of things. So if you can think of it in that concept, a lot of times it helps give you a little more space and a little more grace to do some of that work that you may be avoiding doing. And again, I'm encouraging you to do this with the support of a trusted professional, with the support of a trusted family member in a safe and loving environment. That's the most beneficial. And it is extremely important to do that work in that capacity. Journaling for me was a big piece of last week where I did this work and I pulled out those pictures, helped me be able to process, get it out of my brain, the feelings out of my body. And then I took that information to my therapy session and was able to gain a little bit more perspective in this professional atmosphere that helped me know that it's safe for me to, you know what, I'm going to take that sweater and I'm going to give it to somebody different, or I'm going to hang it out and look at it, allow someone else to have it, take it to a clothing drop up the road for someone that needs what that garment provided me with, which at that point may have been strength, may have been resilience. Undoubtedly, the gifts that we get from the negative things that happen to us, we carry them with us. It's sometimes hard to find those gifts, but they are there. They are woven in those garments that we're pulling out of those drawers. I promise you. I'm here to tell you. Yeah. Another thing scientifically that placing pictures in your environment helps with is mood enhancement. Yeah, looks at the positive things, those really pretty images. I know I have 3 different canvases on my living room wall of photos that I took that are landscapes from some of my favorite places. One of them is being at the beach where my older daughter used to live. One of them was when I was at my niece's wedding in Colorado and I went on a hike with family. And one of them is the lake around the corner from where we live, where I just sat out on the dock and I looked out on the water and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful snapshot in my brain that I want to be able to see on a daily basis to remind me of how my body felt in this moment, in this time, sitting here, just being, because just being is super important. Also motivates and inspires. Those are the pictures that are motivating to me, that are inspiring to me. Even the ones with the old gunk attached to it, those are still inspiring because as I look back at old things, I can look to where I've come and I can see even if I've made a millimeter of shift, a millimeter forward on my step, it's a millimeter. It's not where I was. So by doing this, I'm encouraging you to let yourself off the hook. Let yourself be aware that you are doing something positive for yourself by working through different exercises for personal growth. This is helpful for you on so many different levels. You may not know what it is at the time. Oh, or you may be like, bam, I just got hit right upside the head with it. That's what that means. But in all honesty, the benefits will outweigh the risks. And the risk for a lot of us is uncovering things and going, I deserve it. I can do it, and making the choice to do it. So, my call to action for you today is to get in the attic, get under the bed in those boxes. Oh, hey, go through Google Photos or go through Facebook in your memories and look back. Maybe you print something off. Maybe you send it to Walgreens and you do the 1 hour photo development for 50 cents per photo. And you go, all right, I got something I'm going to throw on my bathroom mirror or on my nightstand at night that I'm going to see when I wake up or before I go to bed. Maybe you also print a couple photos off and you send them to somebody that's meaningful for you and you write a note on the back of it and tell them why it's meaningful for you and what that time meant, what that experience with them meant for you. So not only boosting yourself, right, but boosting someone else too. Lots of ways we can attack this week in saying cheese and moving our photos around and diving deeper into our history in the most productive way that we possibly can. And remember, everyone has a story and every story matters. I'm inviting you to make your story count.